I've just started recording now. So yeah, I know a lot of students are interested in hearing from you. We really do appreciate you coming back to talk to us, even remotely. It'd be better in person, but remotely today. Our year 12s are having an interesting week, trying to find out about what life might be like beyond Pates. And obviously, Memoona left Pates in 2018 before I joined, but I know a number of the staff here still remember her very fondly, studying psychology, maths, and English at A level. And she's going to talk to you all today about studying psychology. Well, it's experimental psychology at Oxford University, and what that all entails. So I'm going to turn my camera off and mute myself and go into the background, Memoona, but you won't be able to see the chat, but I will. So I strongly encourage the students to ask some questions as we're going, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end to answer those. So thank you so much, and I'll get out of the way and hand over to you.
Okay, amazing. And do let me know if my mic turns off or you can't hear me at any point. I've had a whole year of learning online with Teams, but I still have technical issues very regularly. So do let me know. But yeah. I'm here to talk to you about studying experimental psychology at the University of Oxford. You did a really nice introduction for me already, but I left Pates in 2018, and I was there for the whole 7 years, so from year 7 till year 13. And I did maths, English literature, psychology, and I did choose biology and dropped it after year 12. So those are the A levels that I did, and I'm now studying my degree in experimental psychology at University College, which is one of the colleges at Oxford. Okay, so how did I get into psychology? Well, I had a bit of a dilemma when I was choosing my A-level subjects, because I didn't want to go pure sciences. I didn't want to do pure humanities either. So I wanted to combine my scientific and writing interests. So I chose quite a nice combination that, allowed me to be both scientific and creative. And the moment that I started doing psychology A-level, I knew straight away that I wanted to do it at university. It's such a great course. It's such an interesting, the one that we did while I was there, I'm not sure if it's the same, was the AQA psychology course, and it covered a lot of amazing different things. And I was, I straight away, I knew that I wanted to do psychology at university. And I had an interest in psychopathology, which are psychological disorders, for a very long time, because I had experienced myself with mental illnesses. And in a funny way, poetry kind of influenced this interest as well, because I'm sure we've all done sort of World War I poetry in GCSE English at some point. And I was fascinated with post-traumatic stress disorder, which is great because I'm now doing my final year dissertation on treating PTSD in children. So that's how I got into psychology. Why did I choose to apply to Oxford? Well, I actually went along to the open day in the summer of year 12, and I fell in love with the city. It's a beautiful city, and everyone who lives here, well, most people anyway, love living here. Everything is kind of centered around the city center, and everything's within walking distance. And a few colleges, but I'm not going to lie, I did spend most of that open day looking for the Harry Potter filming locations. But it was good because the moment that I walked into UNIV, I knew that I wanted to be here. Because the student helpers were so friendly, and it just kind of seemed like a very welcoming, very friendly place. So I could really envision myself being there. And then sort of the more practical reasons, the tutorial system was really attractive to me, because I much preferred smaller groups of teaching than classroom environments. So that was a huge plus point for me. The teaching facilities are incredible here, as they are in most unis, but you know, there's a real charm to how old the buildings are here, and it's just gorgeous. And the extracurricular opportunities on offer as well. Oxford has, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but there is a huge number of societies available. I think there is a Quidditch society as well. So, you know, there's something for everyone. And the challenge, you know, I thought, why not? I can push myself to do this. So I decided to apply. So I'll just talk you quickly through what the application process looks like for this course specifically. So as with all Oxford, excuse me, as with all Oxford courses, you have the early UCAS deadline, and then you have an entrance test, which is the thinking skills assessment, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. And then on the back of your application and the test, you get invited, hopefully, for an interview in December. And then you get your application result in early January. So this is what the course looks like. And this is a lot of information. So I'm sorry for bombarding you, but I'll try and explain it a bit clearly. But our course is a bit strange and different to other courses in the sense that it's not split up into years as most other courses are. In fact, we have our first exams straight after the second term, and you know that might be quite daunting for some people. But we then go on to do some core module courses over the next 3 terms, and those make up 40% of the final degree, and then we spend the next 3 terms doing our final options, so for the first 2 parts of that, we do a huge array of different disciplines in psychology. We cover everything from perception and attention to cognitive and developmental psychology. This diagram is a little bit outdated. We don't do specifically biological psychology anymore. It's now called perception. But in your first year, you do 3 courses. You do Introduction to Psychology, Introduction to Neurophysiology, and Introduction to Probability Theory and Statistics. The philosophy and linguistics on there are for people who do a slightly different course called PPL. So we've got a huge variety of teaching and assessment. So we've got lectures, tutorials, and the work that we do for them, which is classically essays or problem sheets for statistics. We've got lab practicals in the 2nd and 3rd year, and then we have in our final year our research project and the option of doing a library dissertation. So in your final year, you can really specialize in 2 or 3 advanced options that you're really interested in. So I did child and adolescent anxiety disorders and beliefs, behaviors, and biology, which is kind of looking at OCD, hoarding, psychosis, and more. So I really wanted to choose clinical options. So I was very lucky to get a whole set of clinical options there. And you can access this via the course page, and that'll have some more detailed information there for you. How's my experience been? So I'm not going to lie, it is intense. It's a lot to get used to very quickly, and especially since we have our exams earlier than other subjects, you do have to pick up a lot very quickly. But on the flip side, there are some really positive things about this course as well. Like I talked about the huge range of modules. we treat psychology as a really scientific discipline. So that is one misconception I think a lot of people have about psychology, that it is purely about psychological disorders. That's not the case. We look at all aspects of human experience, from how babies learn language, to sort of the visual system, and looking at, you know, how intergroup relations work. So it's a great course, and you have a great choice of final year options as well. And, you know, incredible access to world leading researchers. Like, I've been very lucky to have been tutored by a woman who is at the quite literally at the cutting edge of research into child and adolescent anxiety. So it is a brilliant opportunity, and I think it has really contributed to my life in a lot of ways. I've picked up so many skills, so many varied skills, that I will take with me. So that's kind of my experience of EP. My experience of Oxford, kind of more generally, I definitely struggled to adjust at the beginning, as a lot of people will do when they first go to university. But then I did find that once you find your place, and once you sort of stop doubting yourself for being at Oxford, it's you start to appreciate things about your college, your facilities, and your tutors. It is really a great experience, and kind of part of the reason why I don't want to leave this year is just that I love living here. It's a gorgeous city to live and work in. So that's kind of how my experience has been. And well, what am I planning to do after this degree? Well, the main goal is to become a clinical psychologist. And to do that, you do need quite a lot of experience. So what I want to do is hopefully a master's research on why British Muslim adolescents may or may not seek help for mental health issues, and then hopefully gain some clinical experience, and then go into doing a clinical psychology. If you're not aware of it, it's a 3-year course that's funded by the NHS, and you are you basically become a doctor at the end of it. And I plan to work in a child and adolescent service. I've always wanted to work with children and young people. I think adolescence especially presents such a difficult, and it's such a period of change, and it really is susceptible to psychological disorders developing, and I'm really interested in improving the outcomes for children and young people who need treatment for psychological issues. And I hopefully want to stay in clinical research as well. Okay, so moving on to why should you study psychology? I've got a few reasons here. I've talked about an extremely wide range of transferable skills, intense essay writing skills that you pick up. You have the research skills, the interpersonal skills. It really is a psychology at any university. I think it is a great course. It's a great subject to choose, because you do get a better understanding of how the mind and brain works, and how groups behave, how society functions. It's a unique chance to integrate clinical teaching and research experience. So you really get that chance to mix these two disciplines. Hugely broad content, and scope for you to really follow whatever interests you. I have course mates who are very, very interested in infant development, whereas to me, that is interesting, but I'm much more inclined to clinical. But it is just a degree that can take you to so many different places. You don't have to become a clinical psychologist if you study psychology. You can really do anything. You can go into sport, you can go into finance, into law. I know several people on my course who are not doing any postgraduate courses. They're going straight into jobs in consulting. So really, the opportunities are endless. So I think my question should be, why shouldn't you study psychology? It can take you anywhere. I have some tips for psychology applications. And I know everyone will talk to you about doing supercurricular activities. And I think on top of A-levels, it is a lot to ask. So I have some ideas for you. It doesn't have to be cumbersome. It doesn't have to be something that you spend ages and ages on. There's a link to a playlist of psychology related TED Talks there. I actually spoke in my personal statement about a TED Talk that really struck me by Brené Brown. And FutureLearn is a great resource as well. You can have access to a number of different relevant short online courses that can, that have real value in adding to your experience, adding to your critical ability, analytical ability. I think my main piece of advice is to pick and choose what you're interested in, and you don't have to read a million books. I actually only read one, I'm pretty sure. And check out documentaries. That is a great place to start, and to figure out what it is that interests you about psychology. What area of psychology are you most interested in? And of course, you can ask your psychology teachers for recommendations on stuff like that. Consider what you want to do with a psychology degree. You don't have to have a whole career plan mapped out, but it does help with course selection if you have an idea of what do you want to gain from doing the course, and that's what your personal statement's there for. You need to demonstrate and talk about why you want to apply to this course. What do you hope to gain from it? I've got a few links here. Listen to me. Okay, yeah, I definitely ramble a lot on that, but you'll hopefully pick up some good tips on there. I did a video with my friend Nabila talking about my course, the application process, like what it is like to actually be a psychology student at Oxford and kind of Oxford in general. So that is a good one to check out. For the thinking skills assessment, all I can really say is practice over the summer. It can be once a week. It can be even less than that. It could be once a fortnight, because it's a bit of a difficult test to kind of do in the allotted time. So you really do need to practice the multiple choice section. Look at the guidance. There are some good videos on there for how to improve your performance on that. There used to be examiner reports on that website actually, but when I was looking, I couldn't find them. So hopefully they're out there somewhere, but the TSA, yeah, definitely practice it. Some more general Oxford application tips. So I would definitely say that in your personal statement, you need to, when you talk about the wider reading or supercurricular activity that you did, you really need to demonstrate what it was about that activity or wider reading that added to your understanding or interested you further. Admissions tutors for psychology are really interested in your analytical skills. So can you, especially in interviews, can you absorb quick information, and can you make some quick judgments about it? Can you be critical about it? So that applies to personal statement as well. So I would definitely say keep a notebook to jot down your thoughts while you're looking at these documentaries or these courses. and I've said this before, but include what it is about the course that attracts you. And you can do this by looking at the course outlines and looking at specific modules, saying, I'm really interested in this course, especially the cognitive psychology module. Why? Because I read a book about cognitive psychology, and it made me very interested in how we develop false memories, and I want to investigate that further. So something like that. Some more, on a more, practical side, don't put all of your eggs in one basket with Oxford. There are plenty of other amazing courses, amazing universities out there. Oxford is not the be all and end all, and I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end, but it's important that you view it as an option, not as the option. And again, choosing what college you want to apply to can be hard, so consider what's important to you, and don't think too deeply on it as well, because wherever you end up, and you might decide to do an open applications and not put down a college preference. But I'd encourage you to think about things like whether your college provides accommodation for all 3 years of your course, how far it is from your department, how far it is from supermarkets. And one specific thing, the only downside I feel of being at UNIF is we're a very central college, so we're in the midst of everything, we're close to everything. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's a lovely college. The only downside is that it doesn't have enough kitchens. So if you want to be cooking for yourself, you might want to consider kitchens as a priority. But yeah, that's some more practical things for the future. But here are some more useful resources. I'll quickly talk you through them. The Oxbuddy scheme has been very recently put together, and it's basically a bank of current students at Oxford. And if you sign up, you get to message them on this secure platform, and you get one-to-one advice on your subject, your application. So definitely check that out if you're thinking of applying to Oxbridge. Check out UNIV's, so this is a little bit of promo for UNIV, but check out UNIV's Staircase 12 website, because it's amazing. It's got some super curricular recommendations from current students, and some on why wider reading is important, and about personal statements as well, so you can check that out there. You can also listen to the Oxford from the Inside podcast. And that is a podcast run by current students, and they interview other students at Oxford about their course, about personal statements, subject-specific personal statement advice, the application process, what it's like to live here, all aspects of Oxford life. And it's actually run by another Pate's leaver from my year. He's a lovely friend of mine. His name's Junaid. So you'll hear hopefully some of you will be familiar with him, but that is a great resource. You can also watch Nabila's Oxford subject series, in which she interviews current students, and they're quite good, lengthy interviews talking about all aspects of Oxford, and her Oxford Q&As as well are very useful. So to kind of finish off, I thought it was really important to talk about why you might not want to apply to Oxford or Cambridge. I think we place a lot of value on students at Oxbridge, and we kind of measure success by how many students we have at Oxbridge. As someone who is at Oxford right now, I can tell you that Oxford is not everything, that it has its own flaws. You might not prefer the intensity of having 8-week terms in which, there's a very quick turnaround, especially in first year. It's a lot to get used to. If you prefer non-Oxbridge accommodation, like the collegiate system might not be for you. You might not want to have that like closed community. You might rather you know, a bigger like central campus and have your bigger department. And you know, you might not prefer having tutorials, you might prefer class and lecture based teaching. And you know, you might not want to do the application process on top of your A levels. You know, it is a longer application process than other unis, and you might not want to put yourself through the stress of waiting for results or for interview invitations. So you know, these are all really valid reasons for not choosing Oxford. But I think the most important reason is if you prefer a different course. There's no point applying to Oxford if you don't like the course that you're applying to. You know, as I said before, there are incredible courses all over the country, lots of different universities. Oxford is not the only place that can offer the course that you want, and it might not offer the certain modules that you want, and you might apply just for the sake of applying to Oxford. And you know, I don't think that is a particularly good thing to put yourself through if you aren't feeling motivated to study that course. So I'd really encourage you to think about your options, think about exactly what course it is that suits you, that you're really interested in, and you know, you will be well supported whether or not you decide to apply. So that's kind of where I wanted to finish up, and I think we're going to open up for some questions now, so feel free to ask me anything, small or big. Nothing's too small.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Memoona. It was really interesting to hear about both things, about Oxford and the Oxford system, and then also about psychology and experimental psychology in particular. Mrs. Lucas is listening in, as was Mrs. Collier. So Mrs. Lucas put great information and such wise words she's put there. So she's absolutely spot on as usual. I liked Quidditch Society, that the talk that came before you. She was emphasising Cake Society, so that's cake and Quidditch.
Oh, right.
Pretty good. There'll be some questions, I'm sure, in a minute. I'm sure people are typing them in. But I just wanted to ask you, you know, this experiment, what was it? Might be slightly personal here, but where else did you apply? So obviously, when you were applying, you applied to Oxford and experimental psychology, but what else were you interested in?
Yeah. Something that I completely forgot to mention was why it's called experimental psychology. It's called experimental because so we treat psychology as a very hard science, and we base we're looking at cutting edge research and actually doing experiments with people, which is why it was my #1 course. My other courses that I applied to was psychology at Birmingham, I think, and at Bath as well. Bath have an incredible course. They have a placement year, which is gold dust if you want to go into clinical psychology. So, you know, I do kind of, you know, think about sometimes, you know, what if I'd gone down that route? I could have had a year of experience, but no, that's an incredible course as well. I also applied to Bristol. Can't remember the other one now.
Probably a while ago now.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Cardiff.
That's just interesting to know what the difference is and why it's referred to as experimental psychology. We've got a question here from Susie. What made you choose psychology over something like psychiatry?
Oh, that's a good question. At the time, I didn't think that I was good enough at science, and I didn't think that I was good enough at English. So I kind of wanted to do something that was a mix of the two. Psychiatry is, you know, you have to do medicine to get into to be a psychiatrist, and you can do obviously mental health nursing and things like that. But psychiatry for me was too hardline. That was, you know, too much in one direction. And the more that I've learned actually on this course is that psychiatry is a very controversial field, and it's not been very conducive to how we treat mental illnesses. So I'm glad I decided to choose psychology in the end.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs. Lucas has contributed here as well. She's put psychiatry as a specialism. You usually qualify as a doctor, as you absolutely, as you said, whereas like psychology can be studied as an undergrad degree and doesn't require a medicine degree. I mean, because you talked quite a lot about how your course is seen as a science, and yet you did psychology and maths and English, not necessarily biology and chemistry.
Yeah. A-level combinations for psychology, they vary so much. I know people who have done languages and English and gotten in to do psychology at Oxford. You know, or what you have to demonstrate is that is the fact that you can analyze information, that you can be critical of information, and I think A-levels that I would recommend doing, obviously if you can try and do psychology A-level. It doesn't, I know so many people who haven't done it, but I think it's a nice little jump up to the course. But maths is good as well. As much as I hate to admit it, maths is good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maths and psychology I've seen as sciences as well, so absolutely.
Yes.
A couple more questions. How did you prepare for the TSA? You mentioned the websites and practice in the summer, but is there any other tips you give the year 12?
So what I wanted to talk about in my presentation was the examiner reports, because at the time they were kind of my saving grace, because I used to sit down with them and just look at how I was answering the questions, because there's a lot of logical thinking involved in the TSA. Try and do the first few attempts that you do, just completely like the first thing that pops into your mind, choose the first answer that you think is right. And also don't worry if you can't answer all the multiple choice questions in the allotted time. Not many people can. There are too many questions. So go through the easier ones first, leave the harder ones for later. And then for the essay part, obviously try and produce your own opinion pieces, your own pieces of writing. Hopefully you will have had experience writing essays in GCSE English. Revisit what a good structure is. Look at your notes from that. I think that would be helpful.
Brilliant. We've got another question here. What sort of other careers can this degree lead to?
Oh, good question. So aside from going into clinical things, you can go into, I know a lot of people who go into tech, so looking at artificial intelligence, and you can go into sport, you can work as a sports psychologist. A lot of people go into finance and marketing as well. I think honestly, you can do pretty much anything. You can go into the charity sector, working with mental health charities. So the possibilities are endless. I'd encourage you to check out. I think there's a website called Simply Psychology. I think that's what it's called. And you can have a look at the careers that you can get to from there. But yeah, sorry if I didn't answer that very well.
No, I think you did. It's a broad range of different careers, isn't it? There's some information for the year 12s listening in. There's information on, I think, psychology related degrees and careers on SharePoint on the sixth form area, but I'll see if I can find that website as well, Memoona, and share it with the group. But I'll try
and send you a link.
Yeah. Oh, if you can, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
As you said in your talk, there's such a range of different things that you cover across the course, from developmental and social psychology through to some of the biological and other aspects of it, the science. So.
I mean, social work is something that I forgot to mention. A lot of people who do psychology at undergrad go into social work or nursing as well. So yeah, you can do a lot.
A lot of different things. We don't have any more questions, but Miss Collier's just flagged up to the whole group that you won an award for the best potential novel at Oxford. Is this right?
Oh gosh, yeah. In my first year, she's trying to make me blush. In my first year,
she said she wanted to highlight the other opportunities that are available to students, but she's probably trying to make you blush as well.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine that she is. My college actually ran a competition in my first year, and we had a visiting fellow in creative arts, and her name is Amanda Brookfield, and she's an author, and she ran this competition to basically submit like a synopsis and the first 3 pages of a novel that you want to write, and the first prize was that they will give you a publishing deal, basically, to produce that novel. Oh, I think my laptop has gone offline.
We can still hear you, but
you can still hear me. Okay,
we can hear you, but not see you. Oh no, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, but basically, I entered that as a bit of a just a shot, really. I was typing it about 5 minutes before the deadline, but I ended up winning it, and that was a huge moment for me, obviously, as a huge moment. I'm gonna be honest, I have not had a lot of time to work on the book during this degree, but I'm hoping to work a lot on it over this summer.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, what was the topic on? What was it about?
Right, so you could do anything that you wanted, and I wrote a synopsis for a novel that is a romance set in Karachi, where I was born in Pakistan. It's kind of it's a childhood to adult novel. So hopefully you'll see that in stores one day, if I can ever get it done.
Watch this space. They'll always say, well, I attended a talk with her, and now she's put it in. I guess it does show that the range of opportunities that are available to students at university, and it's very much about making the most of those things. Because I'd imagine at Oxford there are plentiful, and as you said, surrounded by some of the most world-renowned academics and all those kind of things.
Absolutely, like you can get into anything. There's so many different societies, but you can, on a college level, each college has its own junior common room, which is kind of it acts as like the link between the students and college staff, and you have opportunities to run as officers in your JCR. And then obviously the other extracurricular opportunities like sport and getting involved with the uni-wide societies. So yeah, it's a great, we have a great range of things.
Fantastic. I think that's it in terms of questions. You covered so much in such a short amount of time. So thank you so much, Memoona, for talking to us. Virtually. I know that everybody on the call will have really appreciated your time and the way in which you went through everything with them, and as I say, others will watch this later on as well. So thanks so much. Hopefully, I'm sure it'll be an inspiration to the year 12s to think that this could potentially be them in a few years' time. So I know they're all writing thank you at the moment and saying thanks so much. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
It was great to meet you. Thanks so much.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely to. I wish I could see you all properly, but thanks so much for having me and for listening. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right.